Warning: the following broadcast may contain examples of individual freedom and stories of people who do not always conform with society. Individuals who listen are at risk of having independent thoughts, and they may engage in risky behaviors in pursuit of a really good time. Listeners of all ages should be aware that language used in this broadcast can cause feelings of rebellion and increase the risk of living life on two wheels and a road.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Two Wheels and a Road, where we're exploring the great roads of North America one ride at a time. To help guide us on the journey, I've got Cowboy here to my right.
Hi, everybody. You're in for a treat today.
And we've got Wayne here to my left.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Mo, and let's dive into today's ride. We have a special treat today. We're going on a ride with one of the hardest riding Harley Owners Group chapters in the country, Orange Coast H.O.G.
And they literally are one of the best in the country.
Indeed. Eat your heart out, Florida.
To help lead us on this journey, we'll be joined by the director of the chapter, Brian.
Go, Brian.
Harley-Davidson Motor Corporation started the Harley's Owners Group over 35 years ago as a way for local groups of riders to get together and have a riding group that centers around their local dealerships. Orange Coast H.O.G. is based out of the Orange County Harley-Davidson dealership in Irvine, California, and they've been around for about as long as H.O.G. chapters have been around. With over 200 members, the chapter prides itself on its riding culture, and most weekends they can be seen leading a pack of 30 to 40 bikes off on some Southern California adventure.
Not just leading a pack, they're leading them through 5 and 6 lanes of traffic sometimes.
Indeed.
They're amazing.
Absolutely. To top it all, in 2018, they led all Harley H.O.G. chapters with over 1.6 million miles ridden in that year by the members.
Wow, I wonder what member took second place in that. In the
I think 3 of the top 5 are sitting right here in these stools.
Yeah, we might have some relationships there with the chapter. But today, Brian and the Orange Coast will take us on one of their overnight trips to Death Valley.
Yeah.
This will be a 3-day, 2-night adventure. The first day of riding will include a ride over the Tehachapi Pass before dropping down to the valley and our hotel stop at Ridgecrest. The second day will be a tour through Death Valley, where we'll catch all the main attractions before ending the day outside of Las Vegas. And our third and final day, we'll head home. Orange Coast H.O.G. and their activities officer, Mike, put a lot of work into their routes, so I'm sure this is going to be a good one.
Shout out to Mike Gordon.
Mike Gordon,
Rock
buddy.
on,
there has not been a bad route, not even close. It's been a lot of fun riding with that guy.
Absolutely. The first day, we'll start in the parking lot at Jerome's Furniture in Anaheim. It's freeways north till we get to Cajon Pass, and then we'll head off on the 2-lane 138 to follow the eastern slope of the mountains all the way past Palmdale till we get to the Poppy Preserve. It's been a wet year, so we may be in for a treat, and the flowers could be in full bloom.
Full bloom. That's what we're looking for.
We'll continue north up the southern end of the Sierra Mountain Range to Tehachapi Pass and the engineering marvel, the Tehachapi Loop, which allows trains to climb up and over on their way to Bakersfield.
That was a brilliant idea.
Oh, yeah. I could stand there and watch those trains all day. That is just fascinating.
Little boys in us.
Yeah.
Something about motorcycles and trains.
Yeah, you're right.
After lunch, we head out and around Lake Isabella before heading east and down to our hotel. Overnight trips with the H.O.G. chapter can be a lot of fun, so we're looking forward to a little social time with the group.
By the pool?
By the pool. Our second day we'll start heading north from Ridgecrest, and we'll take the old Trona Road north through the valley below the Panamint Mountains. We're heading into the heart of the desert, and with good weather, which it's almost always good, it should be a beautiful ride.
And the Panamint Mountains is where the jets come through.
Yeah, and this time of year, I mean, that route this time of year is just so scenic. It's not hot. Yep. It's just great riding.
Yep. We'll keep going past Panamint Springs and have a climb east up and over the mountains to drop into the fabled Death Valley. Our first stop will be Stovepipe Wells. The area is filled with history and most likely a lot of crowds.
Yep.
Just down the road from Stovepipe Wells is Furnace Creek, followed by a stop at Badwater, the lowest point in the world, and a photo op. We'll be back on the road and headed out the east side of the park to Pahrump and then our night in Vegas.
Furnace Creek may have the lowest part in the world, but Furnace Creek has some of the highest gas prices.
It must be really good gas.
Yeah, that is true. Hopefully no one has ever overdone it in Vegas, and when we're back on the road in the morning, on our third morning, we'll have a straight shot down the highway and home. Over 3 days of riding, we'll cover 800 miles, and I'm sure Brian and the rest of the riders at H.O.G will show us a good time. Also in today's episode, Wayne and Cowboy will join me to talk over a little history from our route, including what engineering marvel helped trains get over Tehachapi Pass.
Don't miss that. That is awesome.
It is. What town boomed by providing a needed ingredient for ammunition during World War I?
I have curiosity about that.
Yeah. And where was the final hideout for Charles Manson and the spot where he was finally arrested? In the end, I'll join you back here with some notes from the road. All the maps from today's ride are available to download at twowheelsandaroad.com. You can find our channel on YouTube, Rumble, or download the audio version at Apple, Spotify, or iHeartRadio. And if you like our show, don't forget to follow, or even better, share with a friend. Now it's time for a quick break, and then we'll be back to talk a little route history.
Share this with a friend and show us some love.
We're all friends.
That's right. All right, we'll be back soon. Welcome back to Two Wheels in a Road. All right, now we're going to get into some route history and Death Valley. This is going to be a great 3-day trip heading up just classic roads, a ton of history in the area. We're going to start with a guy named, and we've talked about him before, Jedediah Smith. Mm-hmm. Now, if you remember, and I forget what episode it was, we were talking about Jedediah, but he was the guy who was attacked by the bear. And he was mauled so bad, and it ripped off half his, I think it was on his face, but it ripped off his ear.
Wow.
And his friend sewed his ear back on.
Now that's a friend.
But he sewed it so roughly that he was horribly scarred for the rest of his life. And if you see here on the picture, you notice how his hair's grown down over one side. He, in all paintings of him, and this is back in the days they didn't have pictures, but all the paintings of him, he always had the hair on that one side to cover his ear. And that's
mangled
why.
ear.
Yeah, so we had talked about him. He was one of the first fur traders to come out here and explore Southern California.
Wow.
He came in the 1820s, and he traveled to California. And he basically, his route, so he ran into the Spanish around Orange County, Riverside, like that area. And they basically said he had to get out, but they didn't trust him to go along the coast because they thought he was up to no good. And so he went out Cajon Pass, so the same route that we're going to take. And then he went kind of like we do, following along the edge of the mountains up past Palmdale.
Yep.
Up to Tehachapi Pass. So he did all that on foot. And then he went on the western side of the Sierras up to the Sacramento River.
Okay.
So that's where it ends as far as us following the exact route that he did.
Well, Jedediah is kind of a badass.
He was.
Well, apparently for them to escort him over Cajon,
He's done something to get their attention.
His reputation preceded him.
Well, they didn't kill him, so that was good. But they escorted him out, and they didn't want him near the coast to see what was there. The Spanish knew they had a good thing.
Yeah.
So then as we're heading up north, we get to the Poppy Preserve, which is pretty amazing. If you see the poppies when they're really popping.
Yeah.
So the Poppy Preserve, it's on the edge of the Mojave Desert. The flowers can bloom anytime from February to May, and they're very particular about the rain. So if you get too much rain, they won't bloom.
Wow.
It's gotta be a lot of water and then enough dry before the heat gets there, because if it's too hot, it'll kill them.
Well, they look like they're on look like they're on fire.
Yes.
Yeah, it's such a spectacular sight. It really is.
Yeah, and the preserve's a really cool place. It's a state park. The state does not artificially water them in any way. It's natural preserve, and they don't let any sort of grazing. So no sheep or cattle, and no pets are allowed there except service animals.
Well, I thought one year when people out walking in them and getting bit by rattlesnakes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you have to be careful.
Yeah, they get grumpy about you walking out there.
Yeah.
So it's one thing is a cautionary note is you can ride out there and it can just look like a giant empty field.
Yeah.
It's not a guaranteed thing that they're going to be blooming. If you do hear that they are blooming, it's worth traveling.
And expect crowds.
Expect crowds, because once
Yeah.
they bloom,
Yeah.
people go crazy to go get pictures.
And when you're on your bike and you pull off to the side, you just know you're going to be in a little bit of sand, so make sure you've got something to support your kickstand.
Yep. And the super bloom, remember when we had the super bloom? So
Yes.
these things can bloom so much that you actually can see them from outer space.
Oh, no
Really?
kidding.
Yeah.
Wow, I
They
never thought it
have-
was that good.
They have pictures from the space shuttle, or not space shuttle, the station that's up there
Satellite.
that's going around. And they have pictures where you could actually see, and it, like you said, the flames. It kind of looks like
Huh.
flames
Wow.
from space.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is
pretty-
that space tech talk, that space thing that flies around? That's tech talk, so you might not understand that, but
International Space Station. That's what I was looking for the word. I had it right there.
it was there.
All right. And then as we're heading up past the Poppy Preserve, we get to Tehachapi Pass. So that's, if you think of it as the southernmost end of the Sierra Mountain Range, is you have this pass. And you have to, if you want to get to the Central Valley where Bakersfield and everything and the oil and all and the agriculture that's in the Central Valley, you want to get that to the east, you got to go over Tehachapi Pass. And getting trains up over there was a challenge. So it was built in 1876 by the Southern Pacific Railroad. And at the time, you got to think, in time, steam engines, it was considered an engineering marvel of the day. And it allowed steam engines to pull these very large trains up and over the pass. The way it works is it keeps the grade at 2% for the trains. So that's manageable for
duration.
them to pull. And if they have 56 cars or more, like in this picture, the train will actually loop over itself.
Oh, wow. Isn't that
So it's
something?
got to have 56 cars for it to stretch that all the way around. But it's a pretty amazing thing to see.
Well, it's amazing engineering even by today.
Yeah.
But somebody said, well, here, I got a solution. Let's loop around this great big hill.
Let's
and
go
call
in a
it good.
circle. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do this.
It's like a corkscrew.
Yeah.
Kind of goes up. That it's a
That's a
neat
good
thing.
analogy.
One of my best favorite memories of the place was with you guys when we saw the two trains going opposite
Yep, yep.
directions.
Yeah, wasn't that something?
And you saw them kind of spiraling within each other, going different. That was pretty cool. We stood up there for a while. and
Well,
watched
we
that.
actually stood there and we were kind of almost like taking bets, figuring out which way the train was going because we kept losing them into each other. It was kind of cool.
It was
Well,
cool.
and they fixed it up there now. You got a
Did
nice
they?
place to
Yeah.
stand.
Yeah.
So it's really good.
And there's a pull out there so you can park off to the side and not have to worry about it. If you notice in the picture at the center, there's that hill.
Right.
And at the very hill, at the top of the hill, it's very tiny. It's kind of hard to see. There's a cross. There's a large white cross that was placed there, and it's called Cross at the Loop. And it's at the center, and it was put there for two workers who were killed in a train derailment in 1989 in San Bernardino.
Oh, really?
A
Oh,
memorial.
Oh, man.
that's where that train lost control, came down and couldn't make that right turn at the bottom of the hill. Yeah,
It's
True story?
it is. Yeah, it is.
story.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So the other thing that's interesting is the line, I guess particular railroads own the tracks.
Okay.
right? It's
Yes.
so this line was purchased by Amtrak in 1971, and Amtrak banned passenger trains from going on it,
Really?
not for any safety reason or anything like that. Amtrak actually runs a bus service from the Central Valley to LA,
They do.
and they
Yeah.
didn't want it to compete.
Yeah.
So you think about it, it's like, how cool would it be to get on a passenger train and go to the Central Valley to LA,
Yeah.
and you can't do it because
Yeah.
Amtrak won't, because they own the line.
Wow.
They bought it so they could keep
Yep.
themselves from it.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So
That's not nice. You know what I mean? Well, you
Yeah.
can't fix it. I'll just buy it and not let them use it.
well, but they're going to build that bullet train that's going to
Yeah.
run all the way down.
No,
You're
trust me,
right.
that's going to be built. Trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
one more thing about the Tehachapi Loop. Once you go see it, right down the road is Keen's Cafe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's
Yeah,
right.
a
Good
burger down
point.
there.
We will have to do a ride. One of our rides will have to be that
Yeah.
where we stop by there. That's a great place to go.
What's the national park down there too? Cesar Chavez.
Oh, that's right.
Right
Yep,
between
you got
them.
Cesar Chavez. So, the Lake Isabella. So, just a couple of things that was interesting about Lake Isabella. So, it was built in 1953 by the U.S. Corps of Engineers when they dammed the Kern River. The interesting thing, and remember when we talked about Mulholland and the dam that
Oh,
let
yeah.
go? So in 2006, the dam was found to be too unstable for it to be full. So they have purposely kept this lake at 2/3 of its max capacity
Oh, really?
ever since then,
Wow.
so they could repair the dam. Part of
Wow.
the problem is the lake is built right on a fault line, and earthquakes, they're worried about earthquakes shaking that dam loose, and then you have that all coming out. You imagine how terrible
Well,
that'd
didn't
be.
Mulholland give the approval on a dam once before?
Yeah, that was
it
that
lasted an hour.
Vincent, the Vincent Dam, and
Yeah.
like
One
that
up at
day.
Up at Castaic, Lake Hughes, Castaic area.
Right?
Yeah.
Killed a bunch of people.
Yep. So this in this case they caught it. They've kept it low ever since 2006. They've been
Wow.
working on it. I had no idea. I always looked at it and thought, wow, it's awfully low.
Yeah.
Like,
But it's done on purpose. Yeah.
yeah. So the upgrades were done in 2022. So now they're just waiting for approval to go ahead, and here
Go
within
back
the
up.
next few years, we should be able to see it back at full capacity.
Oh,
That is going to be a beautiful lake
Oh,
when
boy.
it is full capacity,
right.
because it's striking up there. It
Yeah.
is such a color of blue.
Yeah.
And with the mountains and the rocks and everything, that it's going to be a great one.
And that makes me think California.
Yeah.
My Michigan mind, when I see that, I
Yes.
think California, the lake, the mountains, Kern River.
A little bit of water, a little bit of mountains.
Yeah.
That's,
That Kern River, that's just something else.
that's great riding
That
up
is
there.
radical.
Yeah. So then we get to our first overnight stop in the tiny town of Ridgecrest. And Ridgecrest was first founded in 1912, and the town was originally called Crumville after James and Robert Crumb. And this is what the surprising thing was to me, is they were local dairymen. They had dairy cows out there.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
That seems like awfully arid for dairy
Yeah,
cows
it does.
to me, but what do I know?
No, you seem like you want a lot of water, you know?
Well, we know my relationship with cows. So.
right. Right.
We best steer away from that one.
So the first post office for Ridgecrest was opened in 1941. Still was a tiny little place. And then in 1943, the Navy opened the Naval Ordnance Test Station and basically established it as that's the town economy.
Wow.
Is the naval station that's there. Fun place, and boy, they are welcoming when you go there. So I'm looking forward to going.
Oh, indeed. Now, every so often, I won't say it's once a year, but it's every so often, they will open it up, except for the top security areas. They will open it up to family of the workers there, and the worker there will get to take the family and give them a little bit of a tour of the base and all that stuff. And it is spread out. Let me tell you, you can drive 10 miles from one building to another.
Wow.
It's a vast facility. It really is.
Wow, that would be great to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a vast area.
I'd like to see some of the ordnance when they blow it up. That would be fun.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's kind of cool to see those things. So So then the next day, so this is day 2 on our planned trip here, and we're going to head north from Ridgecrest up the old Trona Road. And Trona is an interesting place. Starting in the late 1800s, they began mining borax around Trona.
Oh.
Remember talking about the 20-mule train?
Yeah.
Wagons? And how many mules are in a 20-mule? It's 18, right? It was 18.
Was it 18?
It's not like a baker's dozen.
I think it's the front 2 have to be horses because the mules are
that's
too
right.
obstinate.
You're right. Yeah.
It's kind of like with Harley
That's right.
riders.
Yeah.
2 horses and mules.
So Trona was established in 1913, and it was entirely a company town. So the mining company established the town
They
out
owned
there. Yeah, because the mine was there. They needed people to live there, and they needed facilities.
Yeah.
So they built it up. Kind of like those railroad towns like Indio used to be.
Yeah.
When they want people to live out in the middle of nowhere to support it, and so they have to build the facilities.
I got to bring something there.
The Trona Railway was built in 1913 to connect the town with the Southern Pacific Railroad, and it still runs through there today.
Is it really?
Yeah. The town boomed in World War I when it was the only reliable source of American potash, which is used in making ammunition.
Oh, really?
Yep. So Trona was a booming place back then.
Well, that whole area, that strip of mountains in that area, you've got, as you said, the potash. You also have a lot of cement there. In addition to the borax, you've got some pretty good Portland type cement up there as well that they're pulling out of those hills.
Yeah.
And some gold mines too.
Yeah, and it's active mining. When you ride through
Right.
there, you can see it's a working. I mean, they're working there. So, interesting note here is the high school football field has no grass because of the heat and the mineral content of the dirt.
I bet.
So
Really?
they play on a dirt field.
Wow.
They're kind of. It sounded like it's a source of pride. So maybe kind of like that blue field that they have up in Boise.
I know.
Yeah. Here they have the dirt field. Today, the Sears soda ash processing plant is the largest, pretty much the only business in town.
Sears?
Sears.
Not
Yeah.
like in Roebuck.
Sears, but spelled Seares.
Okay.
Sears soda ash processing plant.
Well, I mean, you always wonder when you drive by some of these towns, what do these people do for a living?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
There
That's
you go.
Yep.
Well, I spent some time on the side of the road just recently, and I think they partake in less than legal spirits is what I think they do. Shouldn't say that.
They may. Panamint Valley is our next area we're going to. Panamint, it's not famous. People generally don't know what that is. They know what Death Valley is.
Right.
Panamint Valley is the valley next to Death Valley, and the Panamint Mountain Range is right in between the two.
Right.
And the Panamint Springs Resort. Now, on this ride, we aren't going to the resort. If you went from Trona Road, you run into the highway there, and then if you take a left, you go into Panama Resort. The Panama Resort was owned by Buffalo Bill's sister.
No way.
Yeah. And she and her husband managed the resort for years. The airspace above Panamint Valley is part of the military special use area, and it is approved for high altitude and low altitude training sessions.
And boy, they use it.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So there is that stretch, and I don't know if they do it anymore because I believe a jet crashed there. But there's a lookout where you and I've stopped there before,
Yep.
up in the Panamint Mountains, where the jets used to come below the overlook.
Yeah.
So
Is that Father whatever?
yes,
monument
yes,
area?
I forgot what
Father
the
Pierre.
Oh,
something
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
No,
So-
I have been on the road that goes by Panamint and then took be south towards Baker, and I've actually played with the jets, and I maybe we weren't, but in my mind we were. I was the only bike on the road, and I had the jets waving their wings at me and stuff like that.
Wow.
I mean, they kind of enjoy the fun just like we do.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Sure,
yeah.
they like using you as a point of target.
Yeah, well, they probably locked and loaded, but they didn't release, so I think I'm all right.
Yeah. The Barker Ranch on the southern end of the valley off Goler Road, we'll pass right by it, was the last hideout for Charles Manson, and that's where he
Oh,
was
really?
arrested. Yeah.
Huh.
out there in the desert, hiding out. The valley's a dry lake bed and can refill after heavy rains still to this day. When we get heavy rains, they can refill.
Is that what Russell, remember he just went out to look at a lake?
Oh, that was Lake Manly, and that's in Death Valley.
Yeah,
Okay,
just
all right.
not very far away, but yeah,
Yeah.
the same deal.
It was this whole area after the last ice age. It was part of a series of lakes, and this lake, Panamint Valley, was a lake that connected to Lake Manly and Death Valley back there.
Wow.
Yeah, so
That's huge.
it is. Stovepipe wells. As you're coming down the hill and you're kind of in the middle of nowhere in Death Valley, you run into stovepipe wells. It was established because miners were going between Rhyolite, which is near Beatty on the other side of Death Valley, and Skidoo, which is kind of by Panamint Springs.
Really, I've never heard of Skidoo.
The first settlement in Stovepipe Wells began when they were putting in the road. So they wanted to connect those 2 points to haul for miners. And there was a well there. And so that's why their camp was there. So it grew up around that. And some enterprising miner, because it kept filling in with sand, they put a thing of stovepipe and they just put it over the well to keep the sand out.
Cased it with stovepipe.
And then, of course, they called it Stovepipe Wells.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. Somebody had a bright idea.
Yeah. In 1925, an entrepreneur named Bob Eichmann began construction of the hotel that's at Stovepipe Wells and a scenic roadway through the valley because he had a vision that it could become a tourist spot.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that something? Like back then, you're looking in a desert out there by yourself, looking at a well with a stovepipe in it, and you're like, someday this could be something.
What a happening spot, you know?
Yeah, this is really hot. I got an idea. Let's bring people.
Yeah, the hottest place in the world.
Yeah. And the lowest.
Yeah.
So today the hotel has a swimming pool, and it's fed by that same well.
Oh, really?
Yep. Yeah, you can stay there. So then you get down a little further down the way, you run into Furnace Creek. William Tell Coleman established Greenland Ranch. And this is another thing that amazes me. In 1891, they were growing alfalfa out there.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you got to think, if they've got dairy cows, they got to feed them something.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
But what I want to know is
That doesn't sound right.
who's the guy who, okay, you're going to California and there's good pasture land close to the coast. No, I want to stop here and grow my alfalfa.
Yeah.
It was renamed Furnace Creek in 1933. So originally it was called Greenland Ranch.
Wow.
And Furnace Creek was the center of operations, Pacific Coast Borax Company. They were smart enough to realize if they're growing alfalfa and that they've got springs there. So they set it up as their headquarters. And they're the ones that ran the 20 mule train teams. The average temperature in July, and I forgot what year it was. I think it was 2018. The average temperature was 108.1, which was the hottest. That year it was the hottest of any place in the world.
Wow.
It's kind of up in the air which place is the hottest year to year, but that year it was number one.
Wow.
And in July 15th, in 1972, they took a ground temperature of 201 degrees.
No way.
They've never recorded a hotter ground temperature anywhere on the planet since then.
Word.
And that was in Furnace Creek.
Yeah.
Wow. I wonder if that affected the gas prices. Because I seen $9.24 a gallon at Furnace Creek. So if you ride out there, be ready.
Like I said, really good gas for that price.
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah.
It's better gas.
Yeah, there you go.
Furnace Creek Inn just across the way, and it really is a beautiful spot.
Yeah,
that was
it is.
built by the same company, Pacific Coast Borax Company, and it's also has the name. They call it the Oasis at Furnace Creek. It was originally built in 1927 and opened with 12 rooms.
Wow.
And another guy who kind of had the vision of the area and thought it could be a tourist spot. Richard C. Baker wanted to try to increase tourism to the area and increase usage on. He owned the railroad, which was the Tonopah and Tidewater Railroad. And so they had built the railroad to haul borax, but he's thinking, hey, if I can get tourists to come here, they could ride the train up And so they added more rooms, added a swimming pool and tennis courts in the 1930s. The inn now has 66 rooms, and it operates from October to May. And to be fair, October to May, it's pretty darn nice out
It
in
is. Yeah, it's
Death
nice.
Valley.
Well,
The
and
wintertime,
It's a beautiful location. Have any of you guys stayed there?
I haven't stayed at
I haven't
Furnace
stayed.
Creek.
Did
Yeah.
we not eat there once though?
Oh, we've stayed at gone to the ranch, the Furnace Creek Ranch, where
Yeah.
we've had like hamburgers at
Oh,
the
okay. That's
restaurant.
at the ranch. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
but not at the inn. I've never eaten at the inn. I've never.
And no, I'm not.
I've
stayed there.
walked through.
Okay.
I went sightseeing there, but
Yeah, it's a beautiful location.
yeah.
Well, not only that, Furnace Creek, now it has a golf course as well. You know, well, in that downtown area, it hasn't been long ago, they fixed all that up downtown
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Really nice, beautiful spot.
And in the wintertime, all the snowbirds go there.
Yep.
It is pretty crowded, and they're filling up their RVs with that $10 gas.
And you know, there's been a time or maybe even two that I've been doggone glad to pay it. I
Yeah.
just
Oh,
gotta
yeah.
say,
That's true.
I've
Very
been
true.
whiffing fumes through there.
Yep.
You know, there are times where $10 a gallon seems cheap.
Yep. Yep.
It's worth the price.
All right, on the way to Badwater, there's a little road that you got to try, and it's called the Artist Drive.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And they built it up on this alluvial fan. And because of the volcanic activity in the area, they think this volcanic rock goes down about 5,000 feet.
Wow.
And it was all pushed up. And then the oxidation of the minerals give you these colors, which are just, and I'll just show you a slide, like you
Yeah.
get blues and pinks and orange, and it's just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like strokes of a brush.
Well, it's really something to see, especially if you get a little bit of sun glistening off of it.
it's
Yeah.
unique. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know that I've seen, and there are places with beautiful rocks, and you get the red rocks and that kind of thing,
Mhm.
but I've never quite seen anything like
Right, I
this
agree.
before. So it's worth it to go through the Artist Drive. It's a little one-way road.
Yeah, it's stunning the first time you see it. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, it's good to know, how did that happen?
Yeah.
You know?
So then you get to Badwater. Badwater is a small spring-fed pool of water where the surrounding salts make the water undrinkable. That's why they called
Yep,
it
bad
Badwater. The freeze thaw causes the salt to run like a river. And here you see the picture of all the people walking out on this river of salt that goes out into the valley. The
That's something.
interesting thing is the lowest point is actually not at Badwater. It's west a couple miles, and it varies from year to year depending on the rainfall.
Oh, wow.
I suppose. Yeah.
Well,
But
isn't
it-
that where you see up in the mountains, sorry, Cowboy, where it says that this
Yeah.
is sea level? You know,
Yeah.
it's got the.
Yep.
Yeah. I was just going to mention that the sign says Badwater. You pull over to look at the sign. Well, if you look over your shoulder,
Yeah.
up there on top of that, way up on top of that hill, it says sea level. And I mean, you realize how far below sea level you
Yeah,
are
you
as you're
really
standing
are.
there.
Yeah, and you see that from the parking lot. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've got some bad news. Badwater is no longer the lowest point.
Oh,
They
man.
discovered a place in Argentina that is about 60 feet lower
Really?
than Badwater.
Oh,
Yeah.
how'd they find that?
I don't know.
Yeah. I probably don't
How
want to
did-
know.
Yeah, how'd they figure that out?
Yeah. So what I said in the beginning about it being the lowest, I lied.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah. So here's the fact check right here. And apparently this place in Argentina. And when you look it up, they say Western Hemisphere. So it makes you, yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
we'll still call it the lowest.
Yeah, good enough for us.
Yeah. So, all right. And now it's,
Now, bad water. I mean, what happened that they had to call it bad water? I mean, we know the water's bad, but did somebody come along with their horse with a mule train?
oh,
to
maybe.
start drinking the water?
Yeah. No, they won't. The horse wouldn't
I
touch it.
wouldn't think they'd touch it. Yeah.
No.
It was, and if you even took a little swallow of it, I mean, a little swallow probably wouldn't kill you, but you know
If you
right
drink
away.
much of it.
Well, but you have to think. Okay, so put yourself in that time period. You know,
You're
well before
dry.
automobiles, and you're kind of coming over, maybe making your way through some passes, and you see this lake there, and you think, "Oh, thank goodness, we'll be able to water up
Water.
and all that." And so you want the heads up so you don't deviate out of your way.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Back in the days when they're horse and everything, like you said.
yeah.
And you're dry, you know,
Yeah.
like a little water.
That's like the worst torture is you're dying of thirst and there's water
and you can't
and
drink
you
it.
can't drink it.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yep. All right. Well, now it's time for a quick break, and then we'll be back on our ride. Welcome back to Two Wheels in a Road, and we are out on location again. You know, we keep doing this. It's pretty awesome. We have with us our special guest, Brian from Orange Coast H.O.G.
Brian.
Welcome, Brian.
Thank you, guys.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Before we get into hog questions, because we've got a ton of hog questions, and I'm sure people want to know more about the group. Just want to say, had a fantastic. We are standing here at the Tehachapi Loop.
Yay!
Yep, beautiful.
Awesome.
Behind us, a train. I promise, a train really did go by about 5 minutes ago, but we were not on top of it enough to actually film it.
Nope.
But there is constant traffic going by and people stopping and sightseeing and everything.
And waving. We wave at everybody out.
It's a great location.
Always waving.
Great location. So first, we want to say thank you, Brian, for inviting us on this ride. It was a great morning. You guys are headed out to Death Valley, and we are coming along for the ride. We're going to film it and talk about it, so we get a whole weekend together to do this. Just to start it off, a few things like what is H.O.G? How, the chapter. If I'm a new person that just discovered a Harley, and what is it to me, and what do you guys do?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been watching you guys fans forever. I think it feels like I know you guys already. But no, Harley Owners Group is basically an extension of Harley Davidson, and it's meant for just to get out there and ride. You collect miles. So our chapter has just around 200 members, and we usually stay around 200 members. We're trying to get more. Everyone is always welcome. You have to have a Harley Davidson in order to be in the group. We won the Ride 365 in 2018, and we've won the West Coast a couple years since then. West Coast chapter for the most mileage, right around 800,000. Annually, we do probably around 1.2, 1.4, 1.6 even million. So we like to ride.
Yeah.
That's a lot of riding you guys are doing.
A lot of riding. It's funny, though, seeing you guys here and knowing the way you ride, there are a few guys in our chapter that, you talk about 200, 300, and 400, 500,000 miles. We have those guys.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
And gals.
Wow.
And gals.
And gals.
Yeah, and gals, yep.
Yeah. So just to start off, so everybody kind of, and we'll throw video up there so people can kind of enjoy the ride that we've had so far. Started out this morning, had a good group. How many bikes are with the group?
We were pushing 40, so I think we had 39 or 40 this morning when we left, which is a few more than we thought we were going to have. So it was great seeing that going down the road. We were in the back, so just this beautiful.
Yeah, it just went on forever, didn't it?
Just a snake, yeah.
And that's a 3-day ride, so that's 40 people committed for 3 days. That's amazing.
It's very impressive to look down the highway, and we've got some good video of it. So everybody can see the whole train. And it's pretty amazing because it looks like more than 40 bikes when it stretches off into
like a mile long down the road.
Yeah, you get a half a mile going there. And again, a lot of us are running these Insta cameras and GoPros, so we'll be able to pull some video and throw it up in here. But it's absolutely gorgeous seeing them snaking around the turns. Yeah.
Well, and the excitement in the morning when everybody's there. You got 40 people ready to get on vacation. So.
Ready to go see 100 degrees.
Yeah. I can hear the evening by the pool with the whiskey calling me.
Somebody say whiskey?
So when we started out, kind of cool and cloudy, a little bit foggy, not too bad on traffic. We made our way, and actually it's pretty impressive how the chapter moves through traffic. You have a good organization going as far as how that works. And then we got through. Now, we did have a change in plan. We had talked. We did some history of the area, talked about the route, and we got all excited to go see the poppies. and the poppies were not blooming, so you had a route change.
Yep.
And instead, and actually it was a great change, it was up Angeles Crest Highway into the mountains, and then on Angeles Forest Road.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's always such
Coming
a nice
up through
ride
the
up
cloud.
there.
Oh my God.
The fog and that lifted at the top. Wasn't that something?
The benefits of having the road captains, activities, and head road captains is making those adjustments. So when you know something like that, you can change the pace and switch it over with really no problem at all.
And you got the best road captains in the nation. Amazing.
We do get complimented on that as well. Yep. Absolutely.
Huh. I wonder what National Harley says about that.
We love National Harley, and we play well with them. They're great to us.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. So we got to Angeles Crest, and we're riding it, and I think we've got some great video through the fog, and we're going along, and then all of a sudden, and I always love this when you're kind of climbing in the mountains, and then you come around that corner, and there's that patch of blue sky, and you break out, and then it was just like now, a perfect day. Came around, and just from there on, and at Angeles Crest there, you're talking pine trees.
Yep.
I mean, you're at altitude.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, you're on top of the clouds.
Great ride.
We literally were on top of the clouds there.
So getting back to the ride, so we were
Angeles Crest,
just
above the clouds.
Angeles Forest. We drop down, and then we start dropping down out of the pine trees, and it gets more and more desert-like as we're cruising along, and it's these great curves as we go along. That's a great road, and some of them are kind of tight, like as you're
well maintained.
Yeah, it was a good road. I mean, there wasn't a lot of potholes or anything.
Couple of rocks.
Just maybe a little back brake going into the curve and throttle out and a smile on your face.
Well, there wasn't no dust left on the bottom of mine when we got through.
Well, slow going in, roll out with a grin. You know?
There you go. I like that.
When we got to the bottom, then got to Palmdale, and across that stretch from Palmdale to Mojave, there's quite a bit of construction in there.
Right now,
it's kind of cool seeing the windmills off on the side.
A lot of windmills.
Yeah.
And you start seeing Joshua trees. That's the other thing I started noticing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Which is very nice. And so then we made our way, started climbing again. You start to see the mountains here, which is the bottom end of the Sierras, is where we are now. Tehachapi Pass is kind of that area where the Sierras drop down and meet the desert. And then, of course, they had to get across that for the trains, which is why they have that here.
The Tehachapi Loop.
But you start to see that, and you start climbing up, and it's a real pretty ride then up the 58 to the little town of Tehachapi.
Yes. What a nice town.
Yeah.
Do you see they got that little water tower and stuff? Beautiful area.
Yeah, we unfortunately ate and gassed and then stayed there and outside of town. Then we rode through town. It's absolutely great. Great little town.
They got a nice little bakery in there and everything. I think we've stopped there before as a group.
There's a little barbecue place on the left-hand side that's good. Yeah.
So if the Tehachapi goes out of business, it's not our fault.
Indeed.
So in a few minutes here, the rest of the chapter is going to be joining us, and then we're going to be headed up. And the rest of the ride, we've got some great scenery, great location, and then we'll talk again when we hit the hotel tonight.
Absolutely.
Now, just before we check out, we talked about that cross in the studio.
Yep.
And there's a live shot of it, folks, right there.
Down in the middle.
You can see it right there. And that's homage to a couple of the railroad workers, and we pay our respects.
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully we'll get a train coming through here, and if so, we'll get the video rolling for it so everybody can enjoy it. Other than that, we will catch you at the next stop.
Come see this. This is a stroke of genius.
This is a
what
cool
a great ride too.
Yeah.
Beautiful ride. Beautiful
cool
day.
ride to get here. It really is.
Watch the curves coming up here. You don't want to miss one.
That's right. Welcome back to Two Wheels in a Road. All right, we have now finished our first day on this overnight adventure that you invited us on. Again, thank you
You're welcome. Very welcome.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, it was
It
great.
was a great ride. So when we left off last time, we were at Tehachapi Loop.
Yep.
Beautiful day. Did not see a train. Actually, a train kind of partly came out and then parked.
Yeah, it was teasing us. It was teasing us. Came around the corner and just stopped.
Last time there was nothing,
Yep.
and this time it was like,
Yeah, maybe.
it's like kissing your sister.
Okay, it's that kind of podcast.
All right, then.
But the ride there was great.
Oh, it was what
So-
a beautiful time.
It was. From there, then we saddled up, went down, and that ride down into Bakersfield is really beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Ranch land, kind of, and actually pretty tall hills.
Pretty aggressive
Yep.
hills.
You
Yeah.
know,
yeah.
hill country, trucks going down that way. So you kind of, as you're going around the curves, if you're passing a truck, be a little careful. And getting hotter and hotter
Yeah.
as we go down.
Yep.
I don't know if anybody watching has noticed, but there are no flannels anymore. And so,
Well, if you can pan down, you can see my Speedo, but you probably shouldn't do that now. I don't know.
we will make sure to get the flip flops in because that's some serious Harley wear there.
We wouldn't want to miss that. No.
Harley attire. Harley attire.
So did it hit 100? I
didn't see it hit that hot.
No, it got
But
up
it was
close to 90.
It was
didn't
pretty good. Yes.
I didn't want to look
92
because
maybe?
I was hot, so I didn't want to look.
It was hot. Got down to Bakersfield, gassed up, and actually it was pretty painless because sometimes you can get caught in traffic down there.
Yeah.
But jumped on the 178, and then all right, welcome back. we had a minor
Hiccup.
issue there,
Yeah.
which we resolved. Because we are bikers and we figure this stuff out. So,
One of us kicked it, and the other one flipped a
Yeah,
switch.
black
Yes.
tape. Black tape.
I think it was
Duct
it
tape
was
and
the
zip
kicking
ties.
that worked. So we were talking about we had just gone up from Bakersfield, ran into some swarms of bees. It was a beautiful ride. It was got nice and cool. One of the things that I really love about that area is it's almost like you've got two different passes and then a giant valley in between.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And it is a beautiful valley. It can get really hot in the summertime,
Yes.
but it's a beautiful valley. And the flowers, there are flowers up on the hillsides. Just a great area. Then we hit Lake Isabella. Now, the winds were kicking when we got there.
We actually had a wind behind us for a while, and
Yeah, that was nice.
I used half a tank, and I said I had 200 miles left. So that was a good wind.
That's always nice.
Yeah.
I always like a tailwind. And Lake Isabella went past there. It was
Letting
really
it fill
pretty.
up.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that full.
Yeah.
Yep,
I
that would be
can't
nice.
I can't wait to see that. And the other thing too that I think was noteworthy was the Kern River was really full.
I was going to say that the rockscapes coming over the top. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful riding underneath that.
And those twisties, one of the road captains with the chapter, Tedder, he
Do we know that guy?
yeah. He
know it-
was
no
talking
claiming.
about how where you come around those sweeping curves and just the way it would line up, you would see nothing but water
That's
going, and then you'd see the bikes all lined
Yeah.
up in front of you, and it was a pretty amazing picture. I think we have that on video.
Yep.
While we're talking here, we're throwing some of the video into the lower left-hand corner. Left, I get mixed up with left and right, but one of the corners you will see video as we talk, and it's the video from the ride we did today.
And it gives a perspective of what the ride really is, how big the mountains are. You know, when you see the bike, and then it's like, oh my gosh, look how big the mountains is next to that beautiful lake.
And I got to give another shout out to that Kern River. I could just I could lose a curve watching that river.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
awesome.
I came close on several of them. I like actually went in between some of the yellow lines because I was getting the looky loos.
Yeah,
like,
it really does.
I want a looky-itis.
Yeah. So, but it was a beautiful ride. That was a great route. Got back up to the valley, past the lake, climb back over the next pass, and then you're dropping down onto the desert.
And isn't that a spectacular ride down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it? A
That's
couple
nice.
of miles down. It's beautiful.
And that is one of those roads where if you're not from this area, then you should go and do that for that view. As you're coming down out of the mountains and you see the desert landscape in front of you.
And that's 58.
Is that 58?
58 east.
And especially in the afternoons, late in the afternoons when the heat of the sun is down and the sun isn't so bright and you get those colors. That's an amazing road. So
it is.
Then we just turned off and made our way here to Ridgecrest, the thriving metropolis of Ridgecrest. But this is a fantastic place. Last time you guys were here,
They treat us well.
and
They're fantastic.
I heard the mayor came.
The mayor came last time. We had a bunch of people here. They made us martinis here, I believe. This time we're having a food truck. We try to make it an event. So, it's going to work out really well tonight. Everybody had a lot of fun last time we were here. So,
Well,
Oh,
that
that's
just
great.
speaks volumes for how much they respect your chapter.
absolutely.
and-
Well,
and,
and just what a great area this is. I mean,
Yes.
it's like you said, it's somewhat thriving. It's on the cusp maybe of something, but a lot of good people around here.
You know, I think you've said that many times is the best places are off the beaten path. It's not going, everybody wants to go to the big cities and see the sights, but actually the best times are when you go to those small towns and you meet the regular people.
Yeah, they're happy to see you.
They have more time for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they roll out the red carpet. They roll out the martini truck.
Martini truck.
Yeah.
So all in all, it's been a great day, great time so far. And
So just give us another plug on Orange your H.O.G chapter, and when do you guys meet? When you want to invite
Coast Hog, Orange Coast Hog.
You want to
I'll
invite
tell
some
you.
folks down? When do they want to come down and see you?
Yeah, come on down. Every basically the last Saturday of every month is what we call a new member ride. You don't even have to have a Harley. You can just come ride with us. So come on down to Orange County Harley Davidson, and 9:15 is usually our kickstands up, and it would be great to have you. We'll get you then on a Harley if you don't have a Harley, but it's a lot of fun.
And not only that, though, you teach people how to ride in a group.
Well, yeah, we kind of mentioned we kind of have things, and we try not to teach, but we have ways that we ride. And what's great about that, what we call the new member ride, is it kind of goes down by the coast, hits a little twisties, comes back, it grabs a little freeway. So if you're not too familiar with riding, it's a great way to kind of,
a tour of Orange
get your
County.
feet
You
wet.
get a lot of different Southern California scenery.
A lot of fun.
yeah,
Indeed.
that sounds good. Sounds very good. So we're looking forward to tomorrow. It's going to be anher great
Tomorrow's
day.
going to be great. It's going to be nice and cool.
Yes. And we're heading into the furnace.
Literally.
Going to Furnace Creek, going into Death Valley. It's going to be a great day, great ride. Looking forward to it. And we will pick up again tomorrow. We'll check back in and tell how the ride's been going.
Fantastic.
All right.
wait.
Outstanding.
All right. And we'll catch
Let
you
us
then.
ride with you.
All righty.
Thank you, guys.
Welcome back to Two Wheels in a Road. And now here we are at Badwater. It has been a fantastic trip so far. Just to recap a little bit. So last night, hanging out at the pool, that was a really cool setup that you guys had. There was a taco truck.
Yeah, epic as usual. Ridgecrest is always so good to us in the Hilton there. But yeah, we had a food truck there. Tacos, burritos, really a lot of different meats.
Free bar.
And then we had a free bar. Complimentary. I don't know if we should put that out there, but yeah, they hooked it up to where we had beers, margaritas, sodas, waters. They do a fantastic job. It's great.
But you know the thing too, when it hit 6 o'clock and the bar shut down, the guy brought everything he had left over, put it on the table,
right.
said, "Here you go, folks, enjoy."
That's right. He left a bin.
Outrageous customer service.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I was talking with somebody at the hotel, and one of the things that I found interesting is they said they don't do that for anyone. It's only their special guests. So somehow you guys have gotten onto that list. I'm hoping someday I can work my way onto that list.
I was going to say, that's why I hate to say something like that because they're so good to us. But I have to say it's a legacy thing. It's from the directors before me. really set that kind of stuff up, and I'm really proud and happy that they were to do that because that's kind of what keeps this thing rolling and keeps those kind of places interested in us because we take care of them and they take care of us.
Well, it makes us want to come back next year.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have to
Absolutely.
book another. So are we going to be invited back?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You guys come anytime.
So the other thing that struck me was by now, you think bikers, hotel, free alcohol, it's going to be a wild and crazy time. I was walking around with my ice bucket at about 9:30, and you could hear crickets.
We try to keep that part down. We still want the threat. We still want the threat. But yes, I think a lot of people were tired from getting up at 4 and 4:30 that morning yesterday. It was a long day, a little bit of heat.
Yeah.
We'll talk about today as well. But I think everybody around 9 or 10 was okay. Let's cut it.
Call it quits, and then it was an early morning again this morning. So
right.
Yep.
7:30 a.m. start. Everybody, I heard bikes warming up, I think at 5.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we won't talk about that. Basically, it's a first come, first serve for a lineup. So a lot of people like to really get in the front. So you'll hear bikes start. People will be wiping down their bikes in the morning. But more power to them because that's how we run it, and everybody likes it. So
They must do it before breakfast.
definitely.
They're Wheaties. So then we started out on the ride. Beautiful morning, sunrise, and then that ride up through the valley.
Oh my gosh.
Panamint, just a crystal clear blue sky.
Oh my gosh, beautiful.
The wildflowers are all blooming. We even saw donkeys out in the road.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
we were slowing down for donkeys. There was a donkey right next to the road. You never know what they're going to do, so that was interesting.
Yeah. And then, so that whole way up, that long valley, it's just that beautiful view all the way. And then you take that turn and you kind of go up and over the Panamint Mountains and then drop down to Stovepipe Wells. And that's kind of where the heat started.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we come down, I mean, I don't know if you want to get into this, but I'm pleasantly surprised. I think it's about 12 degrees cooler than I thought it was going to be today
wow.
here. So we were looking at 102 and stuff. I'm looking at 88 and 90s.
Wow.
It's really not that bad. Coming across, I felt 88, and I swear it felt like 70. It really wasn't bad at all.
Yeah.
Well, even then, when do you get 88 degrees and snow-capped mountains behind
And
you?
beautiful,
Well,
yeah, absolutely beautiful.
I mean, that view right there is pretty phenomenal. So came down Stovepipe Wells, had a gas stop, kind of a bio break for the group, and then got back on and headed down, and it was a nice sweeping turns and just good pace.
Not a lot of traffic.
Lot of scenes where, because the hills were with the group just all out in front of you, which is pretty scenic when you have the mountains on either side. So
Gorgeous.
The video is going to be, I think, phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see that.
Yeah,
Well, it puts
definitely.
things in perspective. Little motorcycles in vast area.
Yeah.
I was trying to count to see how far, because you can see the lead way up there, and it's maybe half a mile,
Yeah, isn't that
quarter
neat?
mile to a half a mile.
Yeah.
Of just
Way
bikes.
off in the
Way
distance,
off
and
in
all
the
you can
distance.
see is bikes on the road.
Especially going up Panamint, like you were talking about,
Yeah.
just those curves, and you can see them going around the curves ahead of
Heading
you.
up into the mountain, yeah.
I mean, a lot of people have areas like that where they ride, but again, this is beautiful, and anybody can get to Death Valley pretty much, and
Yeah,
it's
enjoy
gorgeous.
it.
So we came down through Furnace Creek, didn't stop because we wanted to make it here before the heat of the day. So we're here at Badwater. I will point out that behind us are those the salt flats where you can see, and actually there still is water. Come on, it's okay.
Hi, folks.
You can still see water out on Lake Manly. So which is kind of cool. You don't see that very often.
Yeah, I was
So,
surprised to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
Well,
nice.
It's okay. So just a pretty scene here. Snow-covered mountains. And then from here, we're headed back to Furnace Creek.
Yeah, we're going to jump back here. We're going to take the Artist Drive out. If anybody's heard of that, please
perfect,
look it up online. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a little overcast today, but it just kind of takes you on a one-way little road, usually well manicured.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes in and out of kind of rock faces, and you get all different colors. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's going to be nice.
And then we'll make it back to Furnace Creek for a little gas, a little lunch.
And then we basically cruise over to Vegas for a fun time. I've heard somebody say something about the Mermaid Bar.
No, we're all going to be in bed by 7. We're gonna cut it. I'm sorry. This is for the chapter. Yeah, we roll till 2 or 3 a.m. You know, we'll be,
yeah,
it should be a lot of fun.
And then the ride home tomorrow. So
yep.
It's been a great trip. Looking forward to. So we will next pick up in our recap. We will be back in the studio, and we will light a cigar and pour a drink, and then we can reminisce about what a fantastic ride it was.
Enjoyable.
Like I said, I feel like I know you guys forever. It's so great. I want you guys on all of our rides. Absolutely.
I'm just looking at you. So you're wearing that leather vest and all black and a black hat, and you are not sweating.
I have a river going down my back right now, but it's not on camera, so I won't.
Well, speaking of river, we're 200 feet below sea level.
That's right. Sea level mark right
Badwater.
there.
Yep.
Yeah, again, if you haven't been here, look that up online. They have up on the rocks a sea level marker, so you can actually see how low you are.
Yep. So it's been a great ride, and look forward to picking it up at a recap.
Fantastic.
All right. Welcome back to Two Wheels in a Road, and here we are back in the studio, and we had a fantastic Death Valley ride.
Oh yeah, great.
That was just what a great weekend. Thank you again for having us.
Absolutely, you guys were a lot of fun to ride
Thank
with.
you.
Yeah, it was we had perfect weather.
Yes.
Which it's easy in Death Valley. Now, I've been in Death Valley where it hasn't been great weather, but most of the time, if you go in the off, it's not so hot, you get really beautiful weather. We were just especially lucky because there was no wind. The flowers were all blooming, so
we had color. Yeah, we had
the-
beautiful color.
it was yellows and purples and
green, actually.
and there wasn't a ton of traffic.
Yeah.
It was,
Yes.
so the whole ride, maybe it's because it's too early for tourist season, and Death Valley, it's a little late because it was starting to get hot, so a lot of the snowbirds have left.
Yeah, could be.
So, I mean, just all in all, it was a great ride. So we left off the last time when we did the interview, we were in Badwater. So from Badwater, it was getting hot. it was definitely, I was starting to melt.
But what it was the 88, 92?
I think it got to 92. I saw 92, which
And for
there was
Badwater,
absolutely great.
that's not bad.
That's
Yeah.
not bad.
I was expecting
true.
about 10, 12 degrees
Yeah.
hotter than that. So,
Yeah.
we had a great time there.
So basically I have no tolerance for the heat. So,
Somebody's out of practice.
yes, it's been a cold winter. Then we climbed up and it dropped, I think 10 degrees.
Yeah.
Climbing up. It was high 80s
Yep.
by the time we got to the top of that hill. Just a beautiful ride up, and stopped there at, I'm going to say it wrong, Amargosa?
Amargosa Opera House and Hotel.
So we have a great picture
Yep.
there, group shot.
Yeah, it was one of our members kind of remind us of it. It's where we make the turn right there. So we thought, let's just stop off. And
So who was
it
that member? What one was it?
Bill Cook.
Bill Cook?
Bill Cook told us about it, and we've gone by it so many times. And then at our last chapter meeting, we had somebody stand up and kind of give a history lesson on that, of where that actually came from, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, I like what he said about the inside, how phenomenal, how nice, super nice it was.
I've never been inside. Yeah,
Me either.
all the times.
Makes you
a lot
kind
of
of want to
times
stop.
on the rides. Like a lot of times we go by places, and you know it, but we never really go in.
Yeah.
So I did, and this is, we'll have to arrange it and make sure we can hit it with the schedule. But I did talk to Ed about coming on and doing a ride with us where we make that one of the stops.
Oh, yeah.
And then he can tell us more about the history of the place and the
Do a
lady.
broadcast from there.
Yeah. do a broadcast from there. And the lady too that he met, who was the person who ran that opera house for 40 years.
Marta or Martha.
Yeah. So
finished at 90, 90 or 91 or something like that. Amazing.
1924, I think it was it, and finished like 89 or 90.
Yeah,
she did her last show.
Future episode,
and it sold out.
Yes. Amazing.
In the middle of Death Valley.
In the middle. Isn't it amazing you go to these places that are in the middle of nowhere, and we talked about it in the history, is the guys who stand out there on that salt flat in Death Valley at Badwater and are like, you know what? This is where tourists are going to come. Let's build something.
Well, and think about it. Scotty's Castle's out there, too.
Yeah.
People used to go to that. You know,
that guy that was standing there and said, you know what? Milk cows. Perfect.
I want to grow my alfalfa here. So
you're gonna sack a big lunch, buddy.
Yeah,
but he did.
They did. So then after Amargosa, then we basically headed straight into Vegas.
Yep.
And it was pretty short order between getting to Vegas and us bellying up to the Mermaid Bar.
The Mermaid Bar.
So it was a good time. What happens in Vegas will remain in Vegas. So it was, but we had a good time, and it just everybody was super friendly in the chapter.
And I would like to note though that Silverton is where we stayed, and they were fantastic. I got into my room, and as director, I had a large plate of edible fruit for the whole group. So brought that down to the Mermaid Bar, and everybody had at it. Came with a nice card from the lady that put it together, and it was just, I mean, they went over the top. Yeah,
I didn't know that. That's nice.
Yeah,
you know, when I got into my room, the TV didn't work. So, you know, and instantly on my phone, I get a text saying, hey, if you have any trouble, let us know. So I let them know my TV don't work. And I kid you not, within 30 seconds, I got a reply, somebody's on the way.
Yeah.
And within like 10 minutes, he was there.
Yeah.
And he was a biker. He had a bunch of old Harleys. So he worked on the TV for like 60 seconds, and we talked for a half hour.
Yeah. Wow. It's not the first time we've stayed there, and they've been good every time.
Yeah.
But
the pool was closed this time, but somebody said that it's a $10 million renovation on the pool.
Oh, wow.
So I can't wait to go back and check it out.
Whether or not you're going to throw it on here, though, I took a video of the pool out my window and stuff, and it visibly looks like it's done.
Nice.
So maybe they were just waiting on just the last electrical or some sign-offs, but it's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be great. And then after a fun evening in Vegas, I don't think there were any big winners from the chapter, were there this time?
Not this time. We have a few that really like to. We walked by somebody that one of our the wives, and she was sitting at a table, and they said, "Hey, isn't that?" And I saw all these chips in front, and I said, "Keep moving." I said, "Don't jinx this.
Yeah.
Just keep moving." So she had a lot of.
And then the next day, it was just a straight shot down the 15 to home.
Well, but our bikes did run out of ice cream.
That's right. We had to stop at Eddie World.
Yeah,
Eddie's
so
World.
I will just mention there seems to be something about the chapter and ice cream.
Yep.
So we got to Eddie's World to gas up. I'm thinking, we're going to be in and out of here in 15 minutes. And then I look over at the line for ice cream because it was getting hot and people had been on the road. And
it was our last stop. So it was,
Yeah.
everybody's saying goodbye to each other.
They want what they want. And they wanted ice cream. So that was great. And then we were home. And so all in all, successful trip, good times.
Now for folks that outside of this area, Eddie's World is like a I just had it. No, I forgot it. Buc-ee's. It's like miniature Buc-ee's. Not quite as big, but the same type, the same premise, anything you want. It's a fantastic place to stop. We'll give a plug to Eddie's.
Yeah, they've gotten more and more since I think the last time you walk in, and it's basically registers and ice cream on the right, and then a bunch of aisles of candy and
jerky,
popcorn and jerky,
Yeah.
and now they have a pizza play of 2 pizza places and some other sandwich place.
It's a miniature
So they're
Buc-ee's.
growing and growing.
Yeah,
Yep.
nice and clean too. That's the other thing.
Yeah, it's always nice. It's
Plenty
always
of
good.
pumps for the bikes. I mean, we pulled in with how many bikes, and I think everybody, but the last couple had a pump to themselves.
that's become my go-to stop because it's from there I can make it home.
Yeah,
It's 120 miles from there to my door.
Yep.
But so since we have plugged Eddie's so much, we will put some photos up there, and so that everybody knows where it is and what it is.
You can't miss it though. I mean, you get the big
ice cream cone.
Outside of Calico. So great trip, fantastic. Now, just to kind of wrap up the recap here, we'll go around and what was everybody's favorite part of the ride? And as our guest, Brian, we'll kick it off with you.
Well, I think my favorite part is having you guys on with us.
Oh my God!
Thank you for that.
All right, so now
Low
that that's
expectations.
now that that's on tape, no, I think my favorite part. I really like Artist Drive. So what's nice about that is coming back out of Badwater, it's a quick kind of right turn and it's a one way. So it's a one way, and every time we've been on it, the road has actually been really nice. And you just go in and out and up and down of rockscapes on your right and left. And there's colorful rocks, greens and reds, and even a little bit of purple. And you get some of the flowers in there, and it's absolutely beautiful. And it's one way. So you can just kind of cruise through there. And I really like that.
Yeah, that was a nice section. I had, because we were trying to catch up to the group there.
Yeah.
And so we kind of went through there kind of fast until we got somebody who was slower in front of us, and then we sort of were right on their tail.
Ride your own ride.
Yeah, it was a great ride.
Yep.
Through there.
Yep.
All right, so Wayne.
Well, mine I would say was when we came around by Lake Isabella, and you could see the whole line of bikes, and you could see Lake Isabella on one side and the mountains on the other, and it really puts into perspective. When you see a train of bikes like that, and the scenery and stuff, and you realize how big the scenery is compared to how small the bikes are.
Yeah.
And it was just beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a good ride. And it was a good road through there too.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
Well, we picked up a little bit of wind there.
Yeah, you're right. It was a little windy.
But I mean, not bad by any stretch.
Yeah.
But
and Lake Isabella, they're filling it back up too. So that's another good thing.
It's
too.
coming.
Next year might be real interesting.
Definitely going to have to go back up there when it's full.
Yeah.
And check it out, because that is a pretty lake.
Oh my gosh, gorgeous. It's it's what I think California is. I think of the big lake and the mountains and stuff,
Yeah.
more of nature.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So we got Artist Drive. We have Lake Isabella. How about you, Cowboy?
Well, I always, my heart is with that canyon there, Kern River, as you finally clear Bakersfield and all the all the other stuff, and you start getting into the canyon. It comes up on you kind of quick. And
Story.
and it's just I can get, and it is unfortunately it's not a one way, it's two ways, and I have to watch for traffic, but I just really enjoy the river and the canyons and all that, and that's probably my favorite. I did get a new. I've had a colorful life, but I did get a new hero, so that's not an easy thing to do. One of the riders named Mo talked his wife into getting off the bike with her luggage in the middle of the desert and hugged him, and he rode off. I have tried to figure out how to leave pillions at gas stations and stuff along the way. I never knew it was that easy, so I got a new hero.
And I'm still married.
And he's still married. Yep.
He let her cool off. He come back, picked her up. Everything's fine. It was great.
That is an understanding woman right there. You know what? My lovely passenger, she just wanted to get off the bike. So
she's such a sport. She really is.
Put up with the foolishness. That's right. Well, so those are all great, fantastic. The Kern River, phenomenal.
Yes.
Lake Isabella, I mean, just a beautiful lake. Artist Drive, fantastic. Mine is a whole lot of desert, but it was because of how it looked on this trip. It was the ride from Ridgecrest up Panamint Valley.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And it was absolutely crystal clear skies. The mountains were right there. The top of the mountains was snow covered.
Yeah.
And there were those yellow flowers all over the place. And we've got some really good video of it. It was such a phenomenal ride, and it was cool. because
Yeah,
it
the
was still
temperature was
morning.
great. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So that was mine. I'll remember that ride for a while.
Yeah.
That was a great one. So, well, all in all, any ride where we end up safe and
Yeah.
had a great time.
Indeed.
That's
Yeah.
it.
This is a great one. We thank you again for having
Yes.
us.
Thank you, Brian,
Absolutely.
for having us
Orange
on the
Coast
ride.
Hog.
Yeah,
you
Love to
guys-
have you back anytime.
You and your team of
Absolutely.
road captains. are
We
pretty good.
love to ride, and we love going places.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. So we will have to take you up on that invite sometime
So
soon.
anytime.
All right. And we will be back with some notes from the road. Welcome back to my notes from the road. Riding through Death Valley, you get a sense of how alone you can be in the desert. Miles and miles of open land with no trees, no brush, nothing to block your view, mountains off in the distance. One can imagine that explorers and settlers entered the desert and probably felt utterly and completely alone. To ride is to be alone. When you get on a bike, there's a separation, a distance between you and the rest of the world, where you alone have the freedom to determine your own fate. As the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer said, a man can be himself only so long as he is alone, and if he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom, for it's only when he's alone that he is really free. The urge for freedom goes to the very heart of riding, the desire to be traveling, to see and do things with the wind and sun on your face and nothing but miles of open road ahead of you. When I bought my first Harley, I spent time getting to know the roads of Southern California. At the same time, I learned about my local hog chapter, Orange Coast Hog, and I showed up for a few rides. The people were welcoming and friendly, but more than that, I was amazed at how riding with a group changed the experience of being on the road. I was still alone on my bike, but now I was part of a group, a rolling community. It's one of the funny ironies of life that you can find a community by pursuing such an independent activity like riding. Over the years, I've ridden many miles, but I've never lost my love for heading out to explore some new place by myself. However, I've also spent many of those miles with my friends. I met Wayne and Cowboy through the chapter, and we've spent thousands and thousands of miles together on the road. When I look back on all the miles that I've ridden, alone or with others, it's the time I've spent with my friends that I remember the best. Over the years and the miles, I learned that Tim Cahill, the editor of Outdoor Magazine, was right when he said, "A journey is best measured in friends rather than miles." My best riding memories are when I think of all the laughter, telling stories about the good times, and even more when we laugh at ourselves and our misadventures when things go sideways. The time spent on the road is where we really got to know each other. We looked out for each other, and we built friendships. Friendships that will last a lifetime. It's a tradition in the H.O.G chapter that most riding days end with the group sitting around, sharing a few drinks, smoking a few cigars, and as the evening sets, we take turns telling stories, having a good laugh, and are thankful for the safe end to another day. This weekend's ride through Death Valley was a journey through American history, a place where we followed the same paths followed by the ghosts of travelers past. Travelers who would end each evening sitting around a campfire, sharing a few drinks, smoking a few cigars, and taking turns telling the day's stories, having a good laugh, and thankful for the safe end to another day. Sometimes the modern way of life seems to be so complicated, until we realize it doesn't have to be. We roll out on the road and are swept away to a simple time. We shed the distractions, and life, for a little while, boils down to what's really important. As Walt Whitman said, "I've learned that to be with those I like is enough." Have a safe ride this weekend, and we'll see you next time on Two Wheels and a Road.
Come on, guys. Let's ride.